screen. Okay, now when I go here when you go for the tutorial, let's say questions, you will have here the tutorial number 5, which is DDL and logon triggers and logon triggers. So you will go here to check these tables. As usual, I will use the Filmy Club database, okay, to apply the codes. So therefore, you need to apply the DDL and logon triggers. By the way, I have explained DDL triggers. Later, I can give like 1 or 2 examples for logon triggers, but it is the same concept. But I want to highlight one thing. When you are dealing with logon triggers, you need to be aware. Because if something goes wrong, maybe you will not be able to access to the system at all. So you need to be aware on how you apply the code. And always I will ask the students, you work on logon trigger to ensure that you are specifying this to a specific user. That means don't apply trigger in general. No, go to say, okay, create a login or let's say user. Then after that, apply that logon to that trigger to that user. Okay, so in this case, to avoid any issues, because many students or many times students will say suddenly they are not able to access the system. There is one solution, but it will take long time, and sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work. So just you need to be aware for that part. Now this tutorial basically focusing on DDL commands, I will say, okay, because you will have, if you check the questions here, okay, if you check the questions here, we'll find that the first question will be create the prevent table creation DDL trigger to prevent table creation on database level. Then disable prevent table creation trigger. So go to write SQL command for that. Then create prevent logon create, let's say, drop DDL trigger to prevent creating and dropping logins on server, let's say, level. Then query number 4 will be, question number 4 will be using create table SQL statement, create a new table called audit DDL queries, which contains the following attributes, which is, these are the information. So here we'll go to create an audit table, like what we have done in DML. Then you need to store the information back in that table, okay? Number 5 here, you need to create a trigger to track all stored procedure events. This record must be saved in the audit DDL queries table. Okay, so you'll go to create basically trigger to track all the stored procedure events that you have done earlier. Okay. Next, number 6 here, create login with the name Alex, then create a logon trigger to limit Alex concurrent access to maximum 6 sessions per login. This is one of the, you'll notice that in the login we have some cases, like famous cases I would say. One of them is this one, which I can limit the users to access to my system if they cross a number of sessions in that system, okay? Maybe later, I didn't cover this till now, but later I can give you the code and we can discuss about what, about the content of that logon trigger. So basically for now, I'll focus on DDL and try to explore this one by yourself first. It is easy, it is not hard. Okay, it is like what we are doing in DDL in first place. So, any question before we proceed? Okay, so we'll assume the Filmy Club database. Can I upload the script for DDL? Let me check. Okay, let's go for Teams. Go for database security. Let's check the files. Okay, so basically here, okay, let me go for, okay, lecture codes, DML queries, triggers. The last one that I have sent was DDL queries. Okay, let me just check it. So Okay, lecture codes. So we have, I think I already upload them now. Okay, so I'll go to upload, let's say DDL triggers and also Logon triggers. So you can explore both, let's say triggers, and also we have done the audit authorization matrix. Okay, so let me just upload this for. So basically, I have once again I have covered the DDL commands triggers. Okay, now you need to check for what the log on triggers is. So if you check the code, you find it is easy to implement, but make sure you're applying it for a specific user, not in generic, not in generic. Okay, clear? Any question till now? Okay, so the time now is, let's say, 5:40. Okay, I will give you around, let's say, as usual, like 40 minutes. Then I will meet you, let's say, around, I would say, let's say 5 or 6:15. So we can check if there is any questions and so on. The queries are direct forward, so you can apply them. If there is any issues, you can also ask me to check it. Okay, so for now, as usual, I will mute the mic, stop sharing the screen, and then I will see you later at 6:15. Okay, attention please. Any question about the DDL trigger? Can you show us how to do number 6? Okay. Now, basically, I didn't highlight or didn't cover basically the logon trigger, but let me show you how this works. Now, okay, in trigger number 6, I will need to create what we call it as logon triggers. Now, we have till now covered the DML triggers, right? We have covered DDL triggers, and there is something called logon trigger, logon trigger. So let me here go to see if it is here in the recent files. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, let me just open it. Okay, for database security. Okay, I'll go here for the lab codes, and I'll go for logon triggers. Okay, now we said that DDL triggers can be either on database level or they can be what on server level. While logon triggers, simply they are what they are always on the server level. They are always on the server level. So let me go here to create a login called Sami. I'm not sure if I have done it earlier or not, but let me check if Sami is there. Okay, we have Sam, but no Sami. Okay. Let me just go to create here. Let me just select some examples. So this, I'll go one by one. I'll go to create a login called Sami. Okay, so I'll say okay, execute. So now when I go for logins, it is there. Notice here Sami is what is created as login. Now the first example here, I can limit what the connection after office hours. What that means, notice here in my code, I want to do the following. First of all, I will say, for sure here, I will go for create. So I'll say, for example, create, let's say, limit connections after office hours. Then here after on keyword, I will say all server. Then here for, I will say logon, for logon. So when I try to log on, the trigger is supposed to be activated. As begin, if original login is equal to Sami, okay, so here I will use the function to retrieve the name of the, the user or the login I want to access. And notice here I said date part hour get date. That means I use the function get date. Then I get the hour from that get date. Then I will say here it is less than 9 or date part is greater than 12. That means I said if let's say this person who tried to access the system is between let's say time let's say 9 and before 9 or after 2, this case you will go here to give the error message which says you are not authorized to log in after office hours. Okay, now let me just create this one first to show you that, because now the timing for us is what 6:45. That means we are already what outside this logon trigger, right? So I will highlight this one here. Then I will say execute as administrator. So I will say execute. Okay. Now, just I want to highlight one point. Always when we create logon triggers, especially for the first times, make sure that always you have a condition for a specific user. Because if I simply said, remove this code and said, okay, Sorry, it seems the internet connection just dropped right now, but no worry. Let me just proceed with okay, with my code. So now we said that if I log in as Mary, okay, and Mary, it will be there. That means there is no issue and so on. Now, let's try to log in as Sami. Let's go try to log in as Sami. So I will say here connect database engine. Then I'll say here we have Sami. Then I will have the password, right? Then connect. Notice here will give you this error. It says login failed for Sami due to trigger execution. What is the trigger? It is the one that we have created right now. The one just we have created right now. Okay. So it is not allowing me to log in as Sami, but I can log in. Let's say, for example, if Alex is there, let me just check. Alex also, till now, I can log in as Alex. The same thing, one of the scripts here will be about the concurrent actions. Concurrent, simply you can apply this trigger, but make sure we are applying creating the user first. This is very important. That means first, for example, like create Suzanne and so on. Just first follow up with this exact code. Later you can modify. Okay. And notice here, I will go to write the following code. So I will say if original login is equal to Suzanne and select count all from system dm underscore execute sessions, where is user progress is equal 1 or processor is equal to 1 and original name is equal to Suzanne is greater than 7. In this case, don't allow her to access. Now what you will do later is that after you log in as Suzanne, okay, after log in as Suzanne, you can create simply a new queries, because for each sheet here, for each new query, a new session will be created. So later you can choose this code here, and most likely I will show you this like next lecture. So you can check here how many sessions are there by name. Let me just show you what I mean by that. Notice now, for example, Alex, he has 4 sessions open already. Abdullah 3, Mary 3, and SA system administrator, let's say 36. Now, if you have, let's say, what's her name here, Suzanne, for example, okay, later Suzanne maybe will have like 3 or 4. Each time, if you click on Suzanne, then go for new query, a new session will be added. When I reach a number which is greater than 7, that means when I want to open the 8th session, what will happen? Database management system will prevent Suzanne from logging into the system. Okay, so it's maybe I will assume, okay, she is like using a lot of resources and so on. Okay, now later I will go to give you the other 2 examples here, but I add it in the tutorial because I don't want to visit it once again. You know, I don't want just to waste time for Logon trigger because the concept is the same as DDL trigger. Okay, like later, maybe like 20 minutes, I will just give the another 2 examples. Clear? Any question till now?
So I have a question.
Yes.
The section count, is there any possible that we can recalculate the section count?
Once again, you need to recalculate what?
I mean, can we like erase the section count and have it again, or is it continuously we can't delete it?
Now, usually the sessions will be depending, because this is usually a system, or this table is generated by the system. That means what you are seeing here, okay, this is generated by the system. That means how many connections per your account. So notice here, even I didn't, yes.
Sorry, sir, to interrupt, but I just want to ask, can you do if set session count to 0 update?
If set session do 0, then do what? Update for what?
I mean, like now the session count right there is recorded by the system whenever the user log in, correct?
That's right.
Can you do a update set session count where user equals Alex as 0, like reset the session count?
Okay, I didn't try to do that earlier, but we can do it later.
Is it possible, sir, or no?
I didn't try it.
Oh, okay.
But I know that, yes, I didn't personally do it earlier, but we can check if it is, you know, applicable. That means you do this. But most likely, I think it will be managed or secured by the system, but I can check later.
Okay.
Because there is, okay, let me just show one I'm not sure the code is here or not. Okay. Oh, okay. This is the code. Let me just uncomment it. Let me just show you here. Okay. Now notice here I can say forget count and say select all from what? From all the sessions, right? Let me just select all. So see all the records. So let me just highlight this one here, highlight, execute. Okay. Now this basically, most likely the answer will be no, I would say in major cases. Because here these are generated by the system. And just simply I'm doing count for that number, for the sessions, which is provided by the system.
So means it will increasing whenever we log in. Am I right?
Yes, yes, yes. Like for example, let's go for Alex. Okay. Let me just show you here. Okay, where is the query? Okay. So highlight, execute, right? F5. No, not this query. Sorry. Where is it? Okay, this one. Now notice here Alex is having how many sessions? 1, right? Now, for example, if I go to add here, let's go for a new query. When I go for new query, for example, it will go to add what? Another session to Alex. So if I run the query once again, the session for Alex will be 2. And so on. That means now Alex is doing what? Opening 2 sessions, not 1. And so on. Okay, so I may say that if the session count goes to reach 7, by the way, some of the sessions you'll go to create as a user, and some of them will be created by the system. Okay, so this is why you will check later. Not always you log in, the number will begin with 1. No, some cases it will have more than that. Like for example, now SA is 55. Why SA is 55? Because basically I didn't do anything, right? But there is a lot of internal sessions are there created by the system. Okay, clear. So the update statement, I don't think it will work because simply this I'm reading how many, let's say, sessions provided by the system, because here I'm reading the system view, system catalog. Okay, clear. No worries. Later I will visit this topic once again. But I will not give you a tutorial question because just simply it will be like direct forward.
Sir, sorry to ask this, but what is user process?
Come again?
What is user process? User process equals to 1? What is that?
Okay, this one here. Now,
Yes.
let me just show you here. If I said select all from sessions, okay. Notice here, I will go for 67, right? 75. If I say it is user process, it will go so for 7. User process here, let me just show you all. This is the type of a process that we have. That means it is generated by the system or it is a user event. So if I go here for highlighting this one, okay, and there is user process. Let me just check for it here. Okay, where is it? Host name and so on. Or I can select it. 1 minute is user. Notice here. Is this user process, right? So notice, for example, the first one is 0. That means this is maybe generated by what? The system. It is not something that's been done by the user. But when I say it is, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? No. Yeah.
So is user process equals to 1 means generated by user?
Yes, that's right.
User login, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, that's right. It's related to the user action.
So what if is user process equals to 0? What does that usually do?
It will be things which is done by the system. That means, usually when you work in the system, like for example, in Windows operating system, right, you have services. So these are things which is working internally, even you are not doing anything as a user, right? But maybe, okay, for assumption, maybe we go to, let's say Microsoft Word. So we'll say, oh, maybe this is like what Word created, or we want to save the, for example, the document, Word document. So say, okay, for example, it's like user action, not system action. Okay, so this is why it says what here. This is 0 and this is 1. Maybe I can, let's say, show you more clear query if I add some details here. But let me just go for this one. Notice here, this the last one is what? The last one is the one that considered to be as the user one. Like for example, login as Abdullah, Alex, Mary, and so on. Notice here it says what? These are one as user process. But other ones, no. They are done by what? By the system itself.
So that means whatever system error or a program crash also recorded in this system season ID.
For sure, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Oh.
Not suppose maybe in this one as a session, no, maybe in other log files. But did I show you earlier the profiler when you go for audit, right? Profiler, for example, will go to record all the data. So some of these data will be sessions created by the database management system itself. That means personally as an end user, I don't see what is happening, right? But it is there in the background.
Okay, got it, sir.
Okay.
And also, when SSMS is giving your PC constant blue screen, and in the event viewer for our Windows, we see a lot of like SSMS, Microsoft SQL Server related errors. Usually, what is causing this?
No, this is another story. This is related to the requirements. Sometimes this may be required to, if you have the blue screen on Windows, right?
Yeah.
No, this is another thing. This is not, this is internally. That one is depending on the compatibility of your system or SQL Server with the operating system. Sometimes there will be an issue with accessing to the memory, like runtime errors that will cause the things to happens, something like that. But it's not this one. This is totally just internal things on SQL Server.
Okay, understand. Thank you, sir.
Oh, most welcome, most welcome. Okay, clear. No worries. Later I will visit this concept once again. We'll log on triggers. But I will not give you the real question. This is the part. Okay, so let me just take the attendance. Okay, so that's all for today. See you in the next lecture. Have a nice day. Assalamu alaikum.